we are going to discuss about these are the topics we are going to discuss. So first we'll understand what is DevOps and what is DevSecOps, and later we will see about Azure Cloud and why we need to go for Azure Cloud, that we will discuss. And we'll see what services and resources Azure offers. And the most important thing is how we will combine this Azure with DevSecOps. And finally, we'll wrap this session with Azure DevSecOps architecture, where I'll explain each and every stage which involves in the DevSecOps practice with security involved. So what is DevOps? So DevOps is a combination of development and IT operations. So that is where the DevOps came from. So development, IT operations. Okay. So it is a DevOps is a culture and set of practice. By using this culture and the set of practices, we can achieve faster deployment of our application in a continuous manner. So it will automate your security and your delivery of application with security. So this involves multiple tools and technologies to combine all this together. We will say this is a DevOps practice. Ultimately, what is DevOps means? We can achieve or we can deliver faster and reliable applications to customers. So the basic definition of DevOps is this one only. So where we can use set of practices to achieve faster and reliable applications to customers. So now let's see what is simple DevOps flow will be. Then we can understand in detail about DevOps. So we do have when I say DevOps, it is a combination of development and operations side. So the first stage we will start with development only. And then next we do have is code. Development team will write the code. Okay. And then we will hand over the code to operations team. And then they will build the code. Finally, they'll deploy the code. So the first stage is what is the first stage? Dev team, development team, I'll write as dev team. So they'll write the code and they'll push the code to this repository. I'll write it here as a code. And we will build the code and we will deploy the code. So these are the basic stages involved in DevOps. So where traditional DevOps. So here we do, this is a flow actually. So once the application is deployed, the final stage is to test the application. So this is the conventional DevOps flow which every organization will follow. So where test the application. Okay. So this is the conventional DevOps flow which every organization follow. So this is what about the DevOps is. So when the development team writes the code, they will use a source code repository called any GitHub or GitLab or Azure repositories. So they'll push the code to this one, and with help of CICD tools, I'll make the script here or Azure repos. And with help of the CICD tools, like CICD tools, I'll write here CICD tools, we will build the application, and with the help of CD, we will deploy into particular environment. Suppose we are using Azure Cloud. Let us say Azure Cloud we are using. So we will deploy the application to Azure Cloud. And at the end, we will start testing the application. So this is the actual DevOps workflow. and we will give the feedback to the dev team as well, and to the backwards. So the application testing, once application testing is completed, we will give the feedback to development team. So now this is the flow where we are testing the application at the very end of the deployment, right? So we are testing the application at the end of the deployment, right? So this will gives us the issues or vulnerabilities. Issues or so what is vulnerabilities? So something like you have exposed your username and password in your code, so that we haven't tested before. So we have deployed and we have faced an issue or vulnerability at the application level, saying that in your code few secrets has been exposed. So this is what we will get the report at the end of the testing of application. So again, we need to go back to the code and we need to fix the code and we need to build the code and deploy the code and test the application again. So here the testing is comes at the very last of the DevOps practice. So to eliminate this one, we are going with DevSecOps. So testing the application is fine, and we are getting the issues and vulnerabilities. So to fix these issues and vulnerabilities, developer may take, and the deployment may take more time, and the delivery will be late. Delivery of our application will be delayed. So to eliminate these issues and finding issues and vulnerabilities at the end, we are using DevSecOps practice. So DevSecOps is nothing but, as the name itself suggesting, that development, security, development plus security plus operations, IT operations. Okay. So what is this DevSecOps means? So DevSecOps means implementing security at every stages of DevOps pipeline. Implementing security practices into every stages of DevOps pipeline. We are calling it as DevSecOps. This is the traditional definition of DevSecOps. So we have seen the DevOps pipeline stages. So this is my DevOps pipeline stages. So what I wanted to do here is, so by using these DevOps practices, I will implement security at each level, each stage, in the coding stage, building stage, deployment stage, and application security, application testing. So by ensuring that security is implemented in each stage of our DevOps practice, can make our pipeline as DevSecOps pipeline. So what we will do is we will put a security at each stage. So I'll use the same diagram only for DevSecOps as well. So here in the planning session, we will use security. And in the code session, after the coding, we will use security to scan the code and analyze the repository. And in the build tool also, we will use security. And in the deploy also, we will use security. And at the end, testing our application by using monitorings and monitor, we will use security as well here. Meaning, so we have used security tools, security processes in each and every stage to make our DevOps pipeline securely deliver the application without any issues or vulnerabilities to the end user. So this can be achieved by using this DevSecOps practice. So DevOps, nowadays companies not only using the DevOps, so they are actively using this DevSecOps practice as well. So they don't want the applications to find issues and vulnerabilities at the end. So they wanted to identify and rectify these issues or vulnerabilities or security issues at the initial stages of the application development. So the process of finding the issues and implementing the security at each level of the stage, we are calling it as shift left security. Shift security left. So in a software development life cycle, SDLC, you may know, right? SDLC. So is this in this SDLC, we are using this DevSecOps practice where we will implement security at each stage. So that we are calling it as chip security left. This is the word we will call it as DevSecOps. This is another word to call DevSecOps. Chip security left. So this is recently I have attended an interview. So the interview asked me this question: what is chip security left? So then I have explained about this DevSecOps practice which we are following, and then what is DevSecOps I have explained. So this kind of questions you may ask in your interviews. So don't worry about that. I'll explain you real-time scenarios and real-time questions as well to make you ready with interview preparations as well. Now let's move to our next topic, Azure Cloud. So what is Azure Cloud? So Microsoft offers cloud services over the internet is what we are calling it as typically cloud computing. So starting there is so Microsoft Azure is a Microsoft cloud computing service where they will offer us the resources so that we can rent the resources over the cloud and access them over the internet. So cloud computing resource. Computing resources it will offer so that we can use them and we can pay with help of a pay as you go model. We can use them and based on the usage of our resources, we can pay that by hourly basis. They charge you based on the hourly basis. So let's take a scenario saying that before cloud. So before this cloud concept existing into the picture, let's say how we have deployed. So I'll talk about before cloud. So before cloud, we have to buy the servers and rent the servers and manage the servers. Correct. So we need to buy servers. So we'll go back into the time where we are at 2010. Let's assume we are in 2010. At that time, cloud is not fully upgraded or come into the IT industry's practices. At the time, how we will do is we will purchase servers from server providers. So back in time, the server providers are IBM and HP and we do have so, etc. We do have. So the popular choice we do have is IBM. So we will purchase the servers from this IBM company, and we will use the servers to deploy our applications. So servers, purchasing servers is not a task, but the actual task is maintain the servers. So maintaining of the servers is a big task for the companies to use this deployment models. Okay, so maintaining of servers involves. So you have to be sure you have to create a data center in your organization where you have to put racks inside this rack. You have to put different racks. So each rack contain a server. Different servers we have. So for these servers, you have to provide networking. So for these servers, you have to provide network, cooling system, and so typically these are nothing but a server rooms in your organization. If you have ever seen about any server room, so the server room contains this one only. They will contain racks. They will contain each and every server with network configuration, power supply, cooling system. All this can be maintained by system administrator. System admin will be maintained, will take care of all these things. So before existing of cloud, we have to buy the servers, maintain the servers, and we have to manage scaling as well. Right. So these are the three factors which causes pain to the companies, especially the startup companies where they have smaller budgets. So these are the major concerns when we are wanted to use deployments of our applications. So now with cloud, so before cloud, after the cloud, so cloud came into the picture. So the popular cloud providers and Microsoft cloud providers are one of them. Cloud providers, Microsoft Azure. So this Microsoft Azure, what it will tell you as is Azure and right here Azure. So what it will tell us is, so it will tell you that so we will manage your entire infrastructure. So whatever the server maintenance, whatever the server buying server and maintaining the server and managing it all the servers. So Microsoft manage infrastructure infra management by using their data centers. Azure data centers, we are calling it as. So what Microsoft will do is, have done is, so Microsoft has installed data centers at each and every region across the globe. Okay, US, India, UK. So each and every region, they have installed their data centers and they have procured these servers by themselves. Okay, this is something say that US, eastern side of US, East US. Okay, so in this East US region, Microsoft already has been procured servers in this region. So these blocks are nothing but servers. And when we request a compute resource or any resource from the Microsoft Azure, they will give us this part of the server to us. So we no need to maintain these servers and data centers by our own. Simply, we can take this server, we can use this server, and we can deploy our applications to that server. So we don't need to maintain anything by our own. So we don't need to buy the server, we don't need to maintain this server, and we don't need to worry about scaling the server as well. So this entire thing will be maintained by this cloud provider called Azure, Microsoft Azure. So this is why so they are not only implementing, maintaining the servers and installing the servers in their data centers. They are offering the server services over the cloud to consumers, right? So that is why it is called as cloud computing services. So this is what accessing. What is cloud computing? Accessing resources. This is one resource. Something say that VM virtual machine. I'll say that virtual machine. So this is one resource. What we are doing, we are renting it from Azure Cloud and we are using it and we are paying it whatever we are using. So accessing the resources from cloud over the internet is called cloud computing. By using this cloud, majorly we have eliminated two things. One is maintenance. The other one is cost. So you can ask me how we have reduced the cost. So we'll go back to this one when we are purchasing the servers. So suppose let us say you have purchased, but before cloud I'm talking about, let us say you purchased a server with 100 CPU and 100 GB RAM. You have purchased a server to deploy your application. So you have purchased this for an X amount. Let us say you have purchased this server for an X amount. Okay. So now are we utilizing this fully? Some cases we have deployed application in this server and load to the deploy application server is for from let us say from 8 p.m. to 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. only. Okay, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. only. we are getting a traffic to this particular server. So we are actively utilizing this server in this time period only, right? But we have purchased the server for already for an X amount for the minimal utilization here. So we can't say we need only these from this time period 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. I want this server only. So IBM won't provide like that. So with with this much of configuration, we have spent X amount of money to purchase the server from IBM with this minimal utilization. So this may cost us this X amount. So when we are going with this Azure cloud, Azure, as I said, that Azure will use a method called pay as you go costing technique we will use, meaning whatever the virtual machine we have taken from Azure cloud, Azure service provider. So how many hours we have run for that particular hours only, they will charge you. So like I have taken a server, same server I will take 100 CPU, 100 GB memory server I have taken from Azure cloud. So when I run it for 2 hours, then it will charge me for that particular 2 hours only. Means hour by cost. Suppose 100 GB CPU, 100 GB memory, and 100 GB machine has a cost saying that $2 per hour. They are saying $2 per hour means per hour they will charge 2 hours. So whenever we run this server 2 hours, each hour we have to pay $2. So meaning that whenever there is a load, particularly in the I'll take the same example 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So 8 p.m. 10 p.m. we have a load on our server. So in this particular time, I will run my cloud server from Azure so that for this 2 hours, I'll charge $4 of money I'll be charged by Azure. So when compared to spending X amount of money to purchase the server with minimal utilization of 2 hours on server providers, we will go with this particular cloud providers where they will charge only hours of utilization, they will charge based on hours. So definitely here we can say that the amount purchased is amount utilized is X minus one only. Right? So we need to spend X amount to use these cloud servers. So these are the two main reasons to move from on-prem like servers before cloud servers from infrastructure to cloud servers or cloud computing machines. This is the simple example of our Azure cloud, why we need to use Azure cloud as. So along with these two, we do have key big benefits like scalability. So why Azure cloud? So along with these two, we have a few advantages saying that key benefits or advantages like scalability. So what is scalability? So every resource has to scale up and scale down based on the demand. So as I said here, 8 to 10 p.m. we have maximum demand on our server. Then we need to have more servers to provide response to the consumers or customers. At that time, Microsoft Azure will take care of Azure Cloud will take care of the scalability based on the scaling configurations we have given to our virtual machine. It will scale down and scale up automatically. We don't need to worry about scaling up the application and scaling down the application. Completely Azure will take care of. And the next one is cost effectiveness. We have already seen that pay as you go. So whatever you use for that one only, they will charge you. And then global reach. Global reach means more than 600 regions Azure has implemented their data centers so that we can have a seamless infrastructure on cloud where we can deploy our application and we can assure our customers that our application will be 99.999% is available. And then we do have security. So major aspect of our application development and delivery is security. Security aspects and compliances. So Azure will give us compliance. So let us take an example saying that you have installed a virtual machine in Azure with public network has been enabled on your virtual machine. So then this Azure security and compliance will give a complaint saying that you have created a virtual machine, but you have enabled a public access to the virtual machine, which is not an ideal way to create virtual machine. So that complaints will give us Microsoft Azure so that we can validate the complaints and we can put a restriction to the virtual machine. So unfortunately, you have created a server with public access and you have forgot that one. It may there may be a chance to hackers may exploit that server by using the public access. So we have to restrict that. So that part of security and compliance will be taken care by the Azure itself. And then most important thing is integration to Microsoft ecosystem. What is a Microsoft ecosystem? So it is best fit for an organization where they are already being using Windows servers, Azure Active Directories, Microsoft 365, Office 365. We do have Office 365, right? And we are working with in our organization, Office 365. So this Microsoft provided resources, whatever may be virtual machines, storage accounts, or load balances, or anything. Those can be easily integrated with this Microsoft ecosystem, which we have already in our organizations. Suppose, for an example, like that Office 365. Here, the last one is innovation. So, this innovation is nothing but evolving with AI. So, Azure quickly adopts this adoption of AI things, something like IoT, machine learning, DevOps with building from scratch. All this can be done by using this Azure cloud. So these are the possible and best reasons to go with Azure cloud deployments. So the next one we have to see is what cloud resources and Azure offers us. So when it comes to cloud resources, AWS, Azure, and GCP will offer similar kind of resources. But where the actual difference will reside is the implementation and security compliance. Flexibility, security, scalability, all this will comes into the picture when we go to cloud providers. So this is the main reason we are going with cloud providers. Now we will see what is the resources it will offer us. Resource from Azure Cloud. So the first and foremost resource we know everyone over here is compute resources, right? So compute resource means Azure virtual machines, app servers. So Azure has been segregated into in a way that each and every resource will be a part of a resource group or a resource. Like compute, I'm saying here is compute, right? So whatever the compute machines that comes into the this category, divided into category, we will list it down here. Suppose VM we have. The first in this category is VM, virtual machine. We'll call it as a virtual machine. The virtual machine may be a Windows one. You can create a Windows machine or else a Linux machine or any other OS we need. Okay. Like, and we have app services and we do have Azure functions where we can deploy our code without having any infra. And we do have AKS clusters, Kubernetes cluster we have, right? So when we are working with this Azure cloud, it will offer us these many compute resources. This is one category. The other category we have is storage. So every application deployment needs storage, right? So then we need to have storage. So storage is storage accounts we can create, and where we can have different types of storage accounts like blob storage, file storage, disk storage, data lake storage. So disk storage is nothing but where we can use disk to mount our virtual machine. Correct. In the similar way, blob storage. So blob storage is nothing but where if you want to store images, videos, backups, then we can use blob storage. You don't need to worry about that. I'll tell you in detail about when you're going through the actual course. Each and everything will be explained. How we are creating and how we are managing it and how we are using it. Those three will be key points when you're learning cloud resources. So the next we have a category of cloud providers like Microsoft Azure providers networking. So networking in this networking we can see virtual networks as we know virtual network is the key here. VNet we are calling it as. What is virtual network? Virtual network is a inside cloud. We can create a separate environment for all our resources. For an example, we have created a VM virtual machine in Microsoft Azure Cloud and a storage account also we have created. So Microsoft is nothing but a public cloud. We can access this virtual machine and the storage account over the internet, correct? So now what I wanted to do is I wanted to put this for access restrictions. I wanted to put this in a safer environment in the cloud itself by using VNet. So I'll put these two inside a VNet. I'll put this inside a VNet so that the IP is configured inside the VNet or has only access to this virtual machine and storage account over the internet. For an example, these two I have installed and I have put my these two resources I have put inside my virtual network VNet. So I have logged into my laptop and have connected to a network, and with the network has this IP 122.1.2.3. For an example, this is the IP I have connected to my network. So if you don't allow this IP in this VNet, you can't access this virtual machine and storage accounts, even though they are inside the cloud and they are inside the cloud and public access. So this is how you can put restrictions to your sources you have maintaining in Azure by using this network category. And we do have the next category is databases. So in the database, we have Azure SQLDB, Azure SQL, PostgreSQL, and Cosmos DB. So these are the databases where we wanted to have like put all our data inside it. In similar way, the next category is security. So in the security, we do have Azure Active Directory ED. So currently we are calling it as Entra ID. And then keywords we have to store all our secrets and passwords. And similarly, we do have Azure Security Center as well. So the next thing is Azure DevOps. The next category and most important category of Azure cloud provider is DevOps and development tools. So DevOps is nothing but we are calling it as Azure DevOps. So where we can have all the software development lifecycle in one single area that is called DevOps. This Azure DevOps offers repositories, boards, pipelines, artifacts, finally tests. So all these five combinedly we will use to deliver deploy the application to the end user. So Azure repos is nothing but Azure repos where we will store our source code to the application. And Azure boards are nothing but the boards where we can plan our deployment process and development process as well. In these boards we will create boards right here. Boards will create tasks. So everyone we will work on the task, right? So our manager or our team leader will assign a task. So how they will assign? They will create a task on this board and they will assign it to your name. So you have to work on this task saying that you have to implement a UI page for your application. For a DevOps engineer, we have to create an a virtual machine in Azure to deploy the application. So this kind of task will be created by using the board so that we can keep a track of it, who is doing what, and what is the progress of our application for delivery. So that can be done by using these Azure boards. So when it comes to repos, we will have Azure repos. So the popular repositories source code tools we have is Git and GitHub, right? So similarly, Azure Repo has also the repository management tool where we can create our repositories here and then we can maintain our source code here. So Azure Repos will be used to source code management, SCM I can say. Okay. And we do have pipelines, Azure pipelines. So this is the most important concept in our Azure DevOps. Why? Because this by using this Azure pipeline only, we can achieve CICD. What is CICD? Continuous integration and continuous deployment. So by using this CICD Azure pipelines, we can achieve CICD practice, CICD uh, op operations. And then later we have is Azure artifacts. Azure artifacts. So Azure artifacts. So let us say an example saying that you are working on a Java application. Developers built a Java application. When they build the Java application, a .jar file will be created. So that jar file we're calling it as an artifact. That will be stored inside this artifact storage. I can say Azure artifacts is nothing but artifact storage. Right. So now the last one is tests. Azure test. Azure test. So where we can test our applications by running a test cases, sample test cases you can write here and run the test cases here and do the testing related operations in this Azure test tool. So by combining all these five tools which Azure DevOps will provide us, we can achieve full SDLC, software development lifecycle. We can achieve by using all these five. So this is the most important thing when we are going to learn in this course along with our Azure resources. So Azure has been segregated into two parts. One is Azure resources from cloud, this compute, storage, network, database, security, and DevOps related tools as well. This is how you will combine this DevOps and Azure DevSecOps. Meaning, with the help of this Azure DevOps, by using this pipeline, what I will do is I'll create my CI/CD pipeline in my Azure DevOps, and I'll deploy the application in my compute resources, either an AKS or a virtual machine or app services or Azure functions. So this is how we are maintaining connectivity between Azure and DevSecOps, so that by using this Azure DevOps alone, you can completely develop the application and deploy the application to the Azure cloud. Finally, I wanted to show you the real-time DevOps architecture, how it looks like in a simple diagram. So let me show you that one. So yeah, this is our complete DevSecOps pipeline architecture will look like. So first we do have planning. So in this planning, both development team and operations team combines together and they will discuss together and what needs to be done and how needs to be done. They will discuss in this planning session. So this planning will be done in Azure boards. This planning will be done by using Azure boards and develop. So developer will write the code, will start developing the code, right? So they will write the code in Azure repositories. And later we will build plus test. So how this will be done? As I said, Azure pipelines we will use. By using these Azure pipelines, we will build and test the application code what the developer has written. And later we will create a Docker image out of it. And then we will deploy the Docker image to Azure Kubernetes service. AKS we will call it as. And then we will operate the clusters and then we will monitor the clusters. And later we will will give the continuous feedback to the team, both development team and operations team, like how we have deployed, whether the application deployment is successful or not, application is running fine or not, is there any issue with the applications? All this will be given the continuous feedback. This entire process, we are calling it as CICD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. So developer will keep on pushing the code and this pipeline will be triggered whenever there is a change in the repository. And then we will deploy the application for each and every change. If you see here, I have given a security at each and every stage. This is where DevSecOps will comes into the picture. By using the security tools, we will implement the security at each stages of our DevOps pipeline. So clear about this one, right? So now this is about the Azure DevSecOps demo. So when you are going with this course, you can achieve Azure 900 certifications I'm talking about. You can aim for this Azure 900 certifications, which is a fundamental certificate, and Azure 104 as an admin. 104 is an administrative certification, Microsoft admin you can get. And the last one is Azure 400 DevOps practice. It is a DevOps certification, which is the next. This is the order actually. You can go with Azure 900, Azure 104, and Azure 400. By end of this course, you can give an attempt for all these three certifications in one go.